Stepping away from the stock market for a moment, it is Bell Let's Talk Day, and we know that during the COVID-19 pandemic, the mental strain has been felt by millions of Canadians, and quite frankly, we were already feeling it. Bell Let's Talk Day is an opportunity to open the door to more conversations around this and what's happening in the workplace. And our next guest has been quite vocal on her own journey and career. Nabila Estabalan is the Executive Vice President of People and Corporate Affairs at Walmart Canada, and she joins us this morning. Nabila, thanks very much for being with us. Let's just start with your role at Walmart. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your career.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be part of this conversation today. So I lead the People and Corporate Affairs function for Walmart Canada. I recently joined Walmart Canada in August. And when I did, I actually introduced myself to our over 100,000 associates as a recovering workaholic. And so I'm excited to be part of this conversation and this narrative today.
You know, on paper, people will look at your career and your resume, and that will say that's classic definition of corporate success. But in your journey, and you have been very transparent on some things that you were feeling behind the scenes, under the hood, if you will. Maybe you can share some of that with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally, I think in the definition of success, fell trapped to the stereotypes that you just had to hustle and work and burn the candle at both ends to be successful. And I did that for many, many years. And ultimately, it caught up with me. So I had my first stress-induced anxiety attack when I was a store manager over 10 years ago. And one of the things that I think is interesting about my journey is that I had really supportive leaders. I had a work culture that was amazing. And had I had the courage, I think at the time, to talk about what I was struggling with, I know I would have been supported. But in my personal experience, I was trapped in this stereotype that, you know, you just had to work through it. And admitting that you were struggling was a, failure of some sort. So that's what I did. I struggled with anxiety as a senior leader. I struggled with postpartum depression in silence for many years until it just caught up with me to the point where I had to start dealing with it. And I think that's what's so challenging about this conversation. It's so multidimensional. It's about individual knowledge, knowing ourselves and how we can know the signs if we're struggling. It's about the organizations and the workplace culture that we all need to, we work in and we try to create for each other. And it's the societal dimension that plays in as well. There's so many strongly held stigmas societally around mental health and mental well-being that people are constantly negotiating and facing. And even in my personal example recently, when I joined Walmart Canada, I wanted to stop pretending that career success that you see on LinkedIn, that there isn't a hidden cost to that, because there has been for me personally. And I think there's a hidden cost that many people are facing with. And so I made the choice to just straightforward, introduce myself as a recovering workaholic, and to all 100,000 associates have really tried to be an example of changing the narrative and the conversation. But it's taken me many years to come to this confidence to have the conversation personally.
Well, and you're talking about a massive workforce that you are working with, which are everyone's dealing with something different, whether you're an executive or a manager or somebody helping people who are coming to the stores during the pandemic. By being open with your story, how has that helped employees at the company in your experience?
It's been unbelievable, John. I mean, since the moment that I started, my inbox has been flooded with examples. And every time I've shared my story, this is always the case. When leaders share their personal experiences, I think when we're vulnerable and we're really share what we have experienced, it gives cultural permission for others to do the same. And immediately after I shared my story, I had a store manager who's emailed me. She's a career mom. She's a Walmart store manager. She's a COVID responder. She's a caregiver. She's looking after for herself and her family. And it all just caught up with her. And honestly, her story when she emailed me just brought me to tears, because I was that store manager 10 years ago. But I was so proud of her because she had the confidence to ask for help and to raise her hand. And that's something that why I tell my story is because I want others to have that confidence to ask for help and to recognize that asking for help is really courageous, and it's the epitome of strength. It's not a reflection of weakness or failure. And the other part of this that I'm passionate about is redefining strength. I mean, these norms that we have around just hustling and pushing through is something that we need to rethink as leaders. We need to really shape the conversation around what does it mean to be successful and what does it mean to be a strong leader. Knowing how to identify mental health and well-being, but also listen and respond is a power skill that all leaders need to have. It's going to be important in all boardrooms and in all organizations. So we really need to continue to do a lot of work on education individually for all of our associates, but also our leaders and the conversation at large.
Nabila, really helpful to get your context. Thanks for sharing your story with us.
My pleasure. And I hope that it does, if it helps one person ask for help and, identify the needs that they have, then it's all worth it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Having the conversation, Nabila Ixtabalan, Executive Vice President of People at Walmart Canada. And today, Bell will donate 5 cents to mental health initiatives for every text, call, tweet, or TikTok video using the hashtag BellLet'sTalk. You can also participate by using the Facebook frame or Snapchat filter or viewing the social media